trying though. Amazon's the devil.
What you think about when you're born into a fire. Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. Our brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose.
Just a second, we'll get started here.
Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. And we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To blame, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
All right, we'll pause the music right there because the song just ended, and boom, I know the timer went off. Let me check one last thing. Content live, and turn this on. I'll probably have to get it reviewed, but we'll try. We'll try to get that. Yeah, already yellow. I haven't even said anything. It's already yellow. Let's play the intro.
Hey everybody, it's Kim Cold here. Listen up, you guys are really mad at me because of my last broadcast. I disclosed a God dream where we were all instructed by God to subscribe to Cold Beer Confessional channel on Rumble and BitChute and Twitch and YouTube. Listen, it's not my fault. I have to disclose what I'm told by God. So don't get mad at me. If you want to do something about that, the best thing you can do is go into the comments section on his YouTube channel. Just imagine these guys are you guys going into the Will Bird's comments section and saying things like, your channel is trash, your sunglasses look ridiculous, you're not a real patriot, or, your wife can do better, just anything like that. And for those of you saying that actually that will help his channel because it will bring more engagement and it'll help the algorithms, I've already run this past Uncle Teshy. Uncle Teshy knows about algorithms, okay? There is nothing Nikola Tesla is more expert at than YouTube algorithms. And if he says it won't affect it, then it won't affect it. So I strongly suggest that you guys get into the comments section and call this guy an asshole.
That's right. Call this guy an asshole. Thank you very much for joining us. I am Will Bard. This is Cold Beer Confessional. I don't feel great tonight. Okay. Still having an allergic reaction, but I've been taking Benadryl, which stops a lot of the itchiness, but man, it's making me drowsy. I'm allowed to have it every 4 to 6 hours, 1 to 2 every 4 to 6 hours, but man, I guess what I was taking yesterday wasn't Benadryl. It was actually, I just saw it was antihistamine. I didn't really read the active ingredient. And it was, you were only allowed to take one of it a day. It was actually like Claritin or some shit like that, which is a different, active ingredient. One starts with an L, and then this one, the active ingredient is starts with a D. This is diphenhydramine, and the other one is L, so it starts with an L. So I am having an allergic reaction to the antibiotics, but I kind of got to take the antibiotics to get rid of my ear infection. I had no idea I was allergic to amoxicillin. I mean, that's a pretty basic one that I've had tons of times. I had no idea. I do remember one time that I thought I had like cellulitis on my legs, and I was on antibiotics at that time too, so that might have been it. But either way, I'm trying to push through. We'll try to get a show out of this. We'll see what happens. I was supposed to do Patreon content today, and I can't do anything. I'm stuck right now. So let me move over here. If you want to support the show, do that at coldbeer.fund, please. Coldbeer.fund. Coldbeer.fund, and make it quick because Papa needs money before I get exposed by someone else, I guess. I don't. People expose me, but it's all shit that I've told you guys. I'm so exposed. They're just making shit up now. They're just making shit up. But it's fun either way, I guess. It's the internet. People are going to be the internet, I guess. And they're going to do their own thing. So you can support the show at coldbeer.fund. We got Dono Clip. Buy me a coffee. You can join our Patreon for extra content. I promise I'm trying to make Patreon content. One of the main reasons I wanted to come on is I wanted to update you guys about, well, first my issue. And I also have been like shitting my guts out with the antibiotics, but I forgot that I was still consuming dairy products, and I kind of forgot all about dairy products and antibiotics. So hopefully that part clears up. I went to dress my dad's bandage today, and basically what was happening, it's kind of hard to describe. What was happening is the wound's on the bottom of his foot, and just a little bit had wrapped around the side. It's right on the edge. Let's see. Hold on. Let's go to a new tab and do bottom. Bottom of foot. There's some. All right, I'll show you. I'll try to explain this to you. Let me just grab this one. Not athlete's foot, but you still see it. Open it a new tab. The wound is kind of like right here. Okay, the blister's kind of like right here on his foot, and it's infected, but he's on antibiotics, so they're trying to clear that up. You know, it's hard to diabetics, but good thing is it's on like the it's on his leg with good good circulation. So hopefully he's cleared up. But what's happening is because it's on the side right here, or because it's on the bottom right here, around the side of his, it's almost like a blood blister. And if you've ever had a blister that you didn't pop and you kept doing the same thing, let's say you have shoes that are making a blister and you keep doing the same thing and you don't pop it, that blister will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So Dad's is popped, but the way that I'm bandaging it up, the way that I bandage it up, it's kind of almost like sealing it. Even though it's, breathable, wicking bandage, it's at some points it's getting sealed. And what was happening, it was going around the side of his foot, and it was like a growing blood blister. So yesterday when I changed the bandage, it had wrapped around part of the side of his foot and had pulled some of the skin away, and there was blood and stuff underneath it, blood and infection underneath it. And I had marked it with a Sharpie to see how high it was. And then today I came back, and it had gone further. So because I didn't want it to overtake the whole top of his foot, I had cut that open today. So I was just, I sterilized the blade and had to cut part of it open just so it doesn't keep building pressure and keep moving and moving and moving around the side of his foot. It's not a great situation, but they can't see him at wound care. The ER kind of won't touch it. The ER won't touch it, and they can't see him at wound care for a week because he had a positive COVID test, even though he's really not got a whole lot of symptoms. Other than a little bit of fatigue. He doesn't have like a cough or trouble breathing and no aches and pains. Yeah, it's not great. So I had to cut part of it open. I don't like having to perform surgery, but it is what it is. It just feels weird being like a quarter of a mile away from the brand new hospital and they won't see him, so I had to do some other things. So hopefully that clears up a little bit, and I'm hoping that incision that I made will allow it to drain. It won't build up pressure and it won't get bigger. Because he's diabetic, so his feet are already tender. But this will happen to anybody. Like if you, let me find a picture that's not like over here. Let me find a picture. I don't want to make anybody vomit or anything, but I can probably find a picture of like kind of like what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. Here, this is not bad. All right, so these are blisters right here, right? So see how the skin is separated? There's another layer of skin below it. Well, these have popped, and they've trimmed back the dead skin. But if this hadn't popped, if this was still covered in skin, and you put pressure on it right here, it would probably shoot over here to like the rolled area, and then it would be this big. And then it would be this big, and then it would try to go on top of your foot, and it would keep making blister and keep making blister. And even though that's not that bad of a wound, it's kind of almost superficial. Blister's not a super bad wound. Like just below it is just kind of like some tender skin, really. It's not like meat is below it, or like it's just like skin that isn't ready to come out yet, right? It's just kind of tender skin. We still don't want it to spread. I was scared to death that I was going to come back tomorrow and the whole top of his foot would be covered. So I went ahead and did that. So they call it, I think on a blister they call it de-roofing, like taking a roof off, de-roofing of a blister. But there you go. It's kind of like something like that. I wouldn't show you pictures of my dad's feet, but it's kind of like something like that. Like this blister was trying to walk around the edge and kept growing and growing. So what wound care will do is they'll cut it like this all the way back to the good tissue. But I was worried about that, so all I did was split it. Like I just split it open, so hopefully it'll drain and can't build up pressure. But hopefully Dad's foot is all right. I don't want him to lose his foot, obviously. That's not great. So there's been a great grifter war going on. In case you didn't hear about it, I think Sammy Bots will work, and I don't know. We'll know if somebody donates. Gonna launch the deck. Yeah, we'll know if somebody works. If somebody donates, if it's working or not. Fuck it. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, there's a great grifter war going on currently, involving our boy Phildo, Phil Godlewski 3.0, and let's see what he's got.
Me.
Oh,
Austin underscore
700 bits.
Milbarg underscore GLG20 cheered Dex 700.
It tells you
Look at
laws
this
and
guy.
orders, because we're a nation of law and order. Oh, all of a sudden, oh man, this guy, look at this guy. Oh, and look at him, he's all upset today. Not upset. Shoot, I sleep like a baby every night.
Thank you very much for the donation. Apparently it is working. Appreciate it. Would he qualify for in-home wound care? He does sometimes. He's just on, he's on Medicare, which is not Medicaid, which is for like low income. He's on Medicare because he's 100% disabled. So sometimes he does. Like when he did his, they took one toe off his right foot. This is on his left. The new wound is on his left foot, but the wounds we've been fighting have all been on his right foot. And they had a wound vac on him. He got in-home care then, but I don't know. It has to be like ordered and set up and stuff. So hopefully we'll just see some improvement by tomorrow or by this Tuesday. So we went, obviously, Derek Johnson and Phil have been going back and forth. After Phil's live yesterday, this is what we got. He said, "Hey guys, awesome live tonight. Another record breaker. By the way, if you want to be the judge of yourself of what I said regarding Derek Johnson, just head over to his channel right now and read his most recent post. I told you about this guy and that he shares Derek Johnson's Rattle Trap 1776. And it says, who speaks about people this way? Certainly not a man of God and certainly not someone who I would want to follow." So it's almost like Phil set him up, right? So Phil talked shit about Derek. And then when Derek responded, he's like, "Oh, you can't be a man of God because you're talking shit." But Phil was talking shit first. Phil set him up to do that. And then once he responded, then that's, this shit's crazy. Anyways, the next post says, it's forwarded from Ripley Vaughn. It says, "Derek sure sounds guilty. Making accusations can be troublesome for Derek." And then Phil Godlewski says, "They sure could, 100%. Then he shares a forward from Rob, which is a forward from Derek. And it's a screenshot that says, "Today ain't the day for a child molester to put my name in his mouth, 100%. And it says, "This is from Derek Johnson. Sounds like a lawsuit. Go get him, Phil." Then Phil says, "He's a coward, so he won't ever mention me by name. If he ever saw me in person, he'd avoid me. Just another wimpy kid who likes to talk smack on the internet. Nothing new there." Is anybody believing that fucking Phil's some type of badass that like shows up in person and challenges people to street fights? Of course not. Like, what do you mean? He's just like you. He's grifting online over this Trump bullshit. And he's literally just like, I don't know what else to say. He is you. He is you. There's no need for a leg bypass. He's already went to check out putting stents in his lower leg. This is all stuff I've already covered, but they checked putting stents in his lower leg and he didn't need them. Just another wimpy kid who likes to talk smack on the internet. Nothing new there. Then it goes on. He himself, Phil, says, "Derek, there are many people in the military. Many are veterans. Just because you are a veteran doesn't mean you deserve our respect." Well, sort of. Sort of. So I believe that, especially for combat veterans, which Derek isn't, but there should be a little bit of reverence for anybody who's a veteran. Even veterans that I don't like Derek, I'll say, he did serve, thank him for his service, but he's a piece of shit here, and here. And there are pieces of shit that join the military. There are pieces of shit that fucking are veterans, right? There are these people, but that's sort of accurate, I guess. I think everybody gets kind of like a blanket, like, well, thank you for your service, even if you have to add a but at the end of that. But it doesn't mean you could fucking, molest kids, or you could fucking shoot somebody in the head, or you can, you know what I mean? Like, there's still an issue there. Doesn't mean you deserve our respect. You're a terrible person. You have a terrible mouth. You talk terribly to people, and people are starting to notice. Damn. You're a terrible person. You have a terrible mouth. You talk terribly to people, and people are starting to notice. Derek, I will give it this. Derek is really mean to his followers. Phil forgets his followers. Phil gets his panties in a wad, mutes his chat and tells everybody, "You're not allowed to do this. Question me again, blah, blah." Derek's worse to his followers, I think, when he tells them how dumb they are, or the shit he says about other veterans is pretty bad. Very few people actually like you. You are very desperate for attention. That's why you're on 50 shows per week. Phil calls him out. Anyone can read a law of war manual, an executive order, or another military act. You have nothing that anyone else doesn't have at their disposal. True patriots hate division amongst their like-minded following. All you ever do is promote division. You're a joke. You're a loser. You won't be in this movement much longer. I guarantee it 100%. So Phil basically says he's getting Derek taken out of the QAnon movement, which is wild to me. Like he's gonna get Derek kicked out of the QAnon movement because Phil's the head of it. Duh, he's the one, and he's the 5 in charge of the 5, and the 6 in charge of the 5 and the 4 and carry the 3, and that's and then Ron Watkins helped him with that. Shit's crazy. Then he forwards something from DD that says to falsely accuse someone of being a pedo. I'm done. Deleted his channel. I can get the info somewhere else without the arrogance. Well, falsely accused is kind of a weird phrase to use there. And then Phil says, y'all won't even remember his name a year from now. Then he shows a pointing emote, a fire emote, a bomb emote. So y'all won't even remember Derek's name a year from now. Phil's getting rid of him. Then forwarded from Ripley says, Derek is about to get his butt whipped. And I do mean a big old spanking. And I do mean a big old spanking. From opening his rattle trap and throwing around accusations, getting too big for his britches. Derek seems to be getting too big for his britch. Oh, by the way, we have another fundraiser coming up on the 8th. If you've got any ideas, if you got any ideas for the milestone ideas, like when we hit certain levels, you're more than welcome to submit those. There's a room over on Discord where we submit them, and you guys are more than welcome to be part of that if you want to. Sorry, I lost something. Oh, there it is. But yeah, we're about to, on the 8th, we have another fundraiser, and it's going to be for Hope for the Day again, which I like. Like, I don't get to pick. They basically tell me which one they want me to support that month. But Hope for the Day is the one that's the anti-suicide stuff that help people out. Like, I like that fundraiser. I think it's a good one. Anyways, back to it. From opening his rattle trap and throwing around accusations, getting too big for his britches, an insanely immature and egocentric boy. An insanely immature and egocentric boy. Then Phil follows that up and says, if Derek is so certain about the lies he's posted about me, why doesn't he mention me by name in those posts? Don't be a coward, Derek. Call me out by my name if you're so confident in your accusations. I'll wait. Then Phil forwards something from Barbara B that says, at Phil Godlewski, I wouldn't waste my time or energy on Derek Johnson. Seriously, he's not worth it. And then Phil finishes off his post about Derek by, I wasted 10 minutes, that's all. There will not be any more. By the way, Phil just finished this whole soliloquy about how he was never addressing trolls anymore and never talking negative on his chat anymore. None of that, right? But now, of course, he's right back to where he started. He says he isn't promoting, the real patriots don't promote division, but here he is doing the exact same thing. I don't get it. So if you're unfamiliar, Derek was sharing a bunch of stuff about Phil yesterday after Phil's show. He says, dropping like flies, good riddance. Anyone who will follow a pedo over an honorable retired veteran with the clean records needs to go 100%. Now back to the actual work, but it doesn't stop there. He shares a couple planes. Then he says this as another shot at Phil. It's called an emergency alert system, by the way, not EBS. Because, EBS and EAS are interchangeable. It used to be called the EBS. Or it's still kind of called the EBS. It's an emergency broadcast using the emergency alert system. It's an emergency broadcast using the emergency alert system. So people kind of use them interchangeably, but technically it is called an EAS. It helps when people know the correct terms for research, 100%. Then he shares a picture of all the bodies at Jonestown, like all the dead bodies laying around at Jonestown. You guys know about Jonestown, obviously, Jim Jones at Jonestown. And it says negative 900 people today. History shows 909 others followed the wrong person as well. We see how that ended up. Hashtag too soon. And then he's got a little man going like this. Hashtag too soon. So he's making Jonestown jokes. Americans better wake up quick. This is a war from top to bottom. Don't be afraid to stand up for what's right. 100% American flag. Then he shares a post about you remember when we went over how the military has been training soldiers for years now how to fight underground, and it's not because deep underground military bases. It's because a lot of cities and a lot of our potential foes have underground facilities, whether that be a subway or whether that be a full-on, underground military compound. Especially when we're talking about like North Korea and Russia and places like that. They have established hardened positions and underground compounds, not for tunnel babies, but literally for like military, just like conventional war. Even if we're just clearing a subway, man, if you've never fought in a subway, that could be entirely, imagine like, how to clear rooms, how to clear a building or a house, but you don't know how to clear a stairway. And you come up to your first stairway and you have no idea where to point the gun, where the pinch points are, where the area you need to pay attention to. What, you have no idea about any of that. I mean, that'd be a bad deal, right? Like, it's a good idea to know how to fight that fight. And that's why the military trains people in it. That's why the military's been focused on it recently, is because of all the enemies that potentially have underground facilities. So anyways, Derek says the Army didn't spend $500 million to just play games underground. Executive Order 13818 that has been extended to December 2023, which is the activator of the Global Magnitsky Act, goes after all kinds of human rights abuse and trafficking. Yet you think the military is leaking information, the same kind of rat they're exterminating. Again, calling out Phil, the same kind of rat they're exterminating. Hold on just a second. So 818 is blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse. This is not going and clearing baby tunnels. It is blocking the property. All property and interest in property that are in the United States that hereafter come within the United States, or that hereafter come within the possession or control of any United States person of the following persons are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt in. Persons listed and annexed to this order, any foreign person determined the Secretary of Treasury in consultation with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General to be responsible or complicity in or have directly or indirectly engaged in serious human rights abuse, to be a current or former government official or a person acting on behalf of such official who is responsible for or complicity in or is directly or indirectly engaged in corruption, including misappropriation of state assets, the expropriation of private assets for personal gain, corruption related to the government contracts, to be or have been a leader or official of an entity, including any government entity that has engaged or whose members have engaged in any activities described in subsections 2A, 2B, or 1 or 2B2 of this section relating to the leader's official's tenure, an entity whose property or interest or property are blocked pursuant to this order. So this is about basically what this says is anybody who commits these serious, what they call like serious human rights abuses or corruption on a high level and shit like that, with like we can freeze their money and their assets. If their money comes in the U.S., we can freeze it. If it comes into control of the U.S. abroad, we can freeze it. Property and assets. It has nothing to do with storming baby tunnels and pulling people out. It actually doesn't recommend any type of military, any type of kinetic action. This is all about, every bit of this is about their money. Like we can freeze their money. The cartel, if they're trafficking, or any country that might be performing a genocide, we can freeze their money. It says, you think the military is leaking this information, the same kind of rat they're exterminating? He's again alluding to Phil. Where do you think these rats come from? When one gets eliminated, there's always others who try to take up those spots, which is why this operation had to be controlled due to the complexity of the layers these rats have built over many years. Too much trust into career politicians and the globalists behind them. There's many rats that don't have names in public. The military's taking them down, as well as the names you know. How do you think these despicable clowns fund their livelihoods? Well, trafficking. So now he's almost indirectly saying that Phil is funding his ventures by trafficking. Where did the trafficking take place? Underground, out of sight. Why do you think the U.S. There's no way. I mean, like, you can have facilities underground, but you don't have tunnels to like other fucking countries, or tunnels to the airport, or tunnels to every client's house. This is dumb as fuck. Why do you think the U.S. left the gold standard in 1968? Why did Congress have the power to make the U.S. dollar as valuable as they wanted, or as invaluable as they saw fit? How come Americans cannot see the USD isn't worth anything except to those who controlled it? By the way, the U.S. dollar is way up on today. It was up like 56% or some shit today. I got an alert on my phone. Why do you think Florida and Indiana banned central bank digital currency? Why do you think CIC Trump created the Quantum Advisory Committee that issued the Quantum Initiative Act that launched quantum.gov? Really, it was because we were afraid that other countries were getting ahead in quantum computing, so we wanted a group that paid attention to that and did their own study. It has nothing to do with quantum banking or education. Quantum and banking, quantum and education, quantum and government, quantum and school system don't go together. Quantum computing is a thing. A lot of people believe it's further along than it actually is. Some people believe it's nowhere near where it needs to be, but we should still be studying it if other countries are studying it. Why do you think Texas will be the first gold-backed digital currency state? September 1st, 2023. We'll have to look this part up. Hold on. It seems like they are, Texas is coming out. It's not going to be their only currency, but it does seem like they might be coming out with a gold-backed coin. Texas gold-backed digital currency project. Let's see what we got here. Once a person purchases a certain amount of digital currency, the comptroller uses that money received to buy an equivalent amount of gold. Although neither of the bills have been passed or presented for a vote, both state the act will take place September 1st. Neither bill's even been voted on, but they're supposed to go into effect September 1st. The topic of central bank digital currencies is in crossfire. United States politicians figure like Ron DeSantis and Ted Cruz trying to prevent them from existing. But what about a statewide digital currency? This is first of its kind. Gold-backed state digital currency project has appeared in Texas. On the same day, 2 Texan lawmakers introduced identical bills for creating a state-based digital currency backed by gold. Each unit of the digital currency would represent a particular fraction of a total ounce of gold held in a trust, according to the bills. Meanwhile, another bill has been passed by a Senate committee in Texas. The bill would largely remove incentives for miners operating under the state's regulatory environment. Under the bill, crypto firms participating in any program intended to compensate them for load reductions on the Texas's power grid would be capped for an anticipated demand of less than 10% of the total load required by all loads in the program. Certain crypto mining companies would also not receive a reduction on state taxes. Well, that's shitty. Like, they're going to cut out any miners, but they're going to try to run a crypto. Who knows if this will work? Seems brand new. Seems like a lot of people have no idea. CIC Trump bankrupt the fiat currency for a purpose. He didn't. We're still using it. It's not bankrupt. These rats cannot operate without their currency. Many people are still missing. Neither can you, by the way. If you're saying that Trump bankrupt the U.S. dollar because, bad people use the U.S. dollar, so do you. So if Trump bankrupt the U.S. dollar, he fucked you just to make sure he fucked everybody else. Idiots. Many people are still missing the understanding of what this war is about and still falling prey to the remnant rats trying to recruit and brainwash more to take these places. Many people in all facets use terminology that fits your frequencies because they have to in order to reel you in. It's hairline differences, but there's ways to catch the rhetoric from the lies and deception. That's empowering yourself with the laws and orders of the operation that has been given to you. Empower yourself with laws and orders. It's a war, ladies and gents, from top to bottom. And CIC Trump has said it over and over. Choose your line. Pick it wisely. Some of us care for you. Others care for their platforms and image while you pay for it. In more than one way. The swamp is being drained right in front of you. Don't be afraid to catch a rat. And it's an article on subterranean warfare. So Phil is technically a rat, and indirectly he's accusing him of trafficking people to pay for it, I guess. More people need to read and study ham radios all throughout 2021 and 2022 on the bottom line of the Newsmax and OEN and CSC Trump was speaking at rallies, showed how to purchase an emergency radio, aka a ham radio. All kinds of rats are being punished and removed by truth via laws and orders being enforced. So he thinks that it was a calm.
Bucka just gifted 3 subs.
Thank you, Bucka. I appreciate it. Thank you for the gifted subs. It's been a rough day. I'm over here dying of an allergic reaction, and people online are still trying to expose me for shit that they're just making up, I guess. All kinds of rats are being punished and removed. Truth via. So it's been a calm that the ham radio advertisement is going on. Then he says, this whole operation stems around CIC Trump. Page 12 of the National Security Strategy, still in effect, says this is about cybersecurity. Just one link. Security was not a major consideration when the internet was designed and launched. As it evolves, the government and private sector must design systems that incorporate prevention, protection, and resiliency from the start, not as an afterthought. I do not like this. It sounds like what they're fixing to do is just restrict the fucking internet. The internet has always been a free place where you can go see free things. I don't like any restriction on the internet. I know there's bad videos on the internet. I know there's beheading videos, and I still think that child porn, if you find it on the internet, that should be illegal. People should be arrested for watching it, consuming it, downloading it. But I don't like this. Security was not a major consideration when the internet was designed and launched. As it evolves, the government and private sector must design systems that incorporate prevention. Yeah, but here's what happens when the government does prevention. They're going to say, well, we want to prevent child porn from being on the internet. That's preventions. And they cast a wide net to try to get all the child porn. And what ends up happening is now you can no longer access your favorite sites because there's a chance that someone in the future may upload a video that has a child in it. Like, I don't like this. This is scary to me, but it needs to be incorporated prevention, protection, and resiliency from the start, not as an afterthought. So they're talking about redesigning the whole system. We must do this in a way that respects free markets, private competition, and the limited but important role of government in enforcing the rule of law. As we build the next generation of digital infrastructure, we have an opportunity to put our experience into practice. The internet is an American invention, and it should reflect our values as it continues to transform the future for all nations and all generations. A strong, defensible cyber infrastructure fosters economic growth, protects our liberties, and advances our national security. The speech by CIC DJT on December 15, 2022 about the Digital Bill of Rights is all over and about this. That includes podcasters and journalists who use fake intel are a part of this. Don't fool yourself. It probably doesn't have people who have fake intel, okay? If I had to guess. Don't forget what this clean out is all about. Again, taking a shot at Phil. And then he shares a Rocky Balboa 2006 inspirational speech and says, better take notes. And that's basically it for Derek Johnson. I wanted to go see if he's posted on his Facebook page. That would be interesting. Hold on. We're going to change the names because of trolls. It ain't about the names. I don't want to be famous. Oh, well, you forgot to apply for trademark for it? Is that why? Oh, no. The maternity photos made it live. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, hold on. I'm trying to find the real one, not the exposing Derek Johnson one, if I can. Original. 1776 original. 1776 Nation original, maybe. Sorry, I'm still looking. Give me a second. There's the Army bit post. Another receipt here. CSE Trump. Another receipt here. Air Force One. Last I checked, National Guard motto is 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. That's actually not their motto. And there's 0 state emergencies in Minnesota. Title 10 Executive Order 13912. Blah, blah, blah. 10-minute breakdown of your friends and family and how Donald Trump... Oh, God. Here we go. Here's a 10-minute breakdown where Derek Johnson tells us all about it, guys. Just get ready.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this weekend is Memorial Day weekend. It's the weekend that we honor all veterans who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Right? I'm honoring a relative, Milton Presley, who was killed. 18 years old, Vietnam. 18 years old, whole life gone. Gave the ultimate sacrifice. Milton raised his right hand under Title 10. When I raised my right hand to go in the Army, Title 10. Well, my dad, Air Force veteran, uncle, Air Force veteran, grandpa, Army veteran, great-grandpa, Army Air Corps. When they raise their right hand, Title 10. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot thank me or them for their service and then turn around and say that the very thing that
He led off with thank me instead of them, which is awesome.
I'm telling Americans is false or conspiracy theory. The only person who can federalize a National Guard to active duty is the president. That is 10, Title 10, 10 U.S. Code 12406. The only person, the only president who has federalized a National Guard to active duty is Donald John Trump. March 27, 2020. He gave a direct military order to 1 million National Guard. He put it in Executive Order 13912, which
up to 1 million to be used in several different ways.
Is Title 10, 10 U.S. Code 1209. That was a direct military order, right, as a commander-in-chief. Now, we have plenty of evidence with the issuing of Federal Continuity Directive 1, January 17, 2017, which tells you inside that order, it tells you inside this manual that anything prior to that is canceled. So that's how you know that's your starting point. There's a second one, FCD 2, June 2017. Those are your canopies. They specifically show you how the United States, 3 branches of government are under a continuity of government.
He did not mention his brother. His brother doesn't like him.
The Constitution is paused, and the Law of War Manual, which is the Department of Defense's manual, is in action. All right, that is the department. The Constitution is show you how the United States, 3 branches of government are under a continuity of government. All right, that means that the Constitution is paused.
That never means that. There is nothing in continuity of government that says the Constitution is paused or null or nullified or voided. That means nothing to do with. That's all made up. That's all fucking made up. The Constitution doesn't stop. Continuity of government is how we keep the government running when leaders are taken down or out or missing or whatever. An attack happens. It has nothing to do with pausing the Constitution. I don't know why he keeps saying that.
And the Law of War Manual, which is the Department of Defense's manual, is
cheese balls
in action. All right, that is the Department of Defense's basically quote unquote.
Brian, why is everybody calling you cheese balls in chat? The fuck is going on? You think they know that story?
Constitution, if you will. That means we're in a military occupancy. You can find that in the Law of War Manual if you'll read that. All right. Donald John Trump became a wartime president with the same laws and orders that Franklin Delano Roosevelt used in World War II.
Cheese balls. That's weird, babe. Why is everybody calling you that?
All right, Roosevelt told Congress. He didn't ask Congress. He told Congress, it's my duty under Article 2 of the Constitution to uphold the Article 2 and the Constitution for the protection of my people in this nation. Congress gave Roosevelt the power to restructure the executive branch where a president could declare.
You told them to, William, and like your stupid riddles, it makes no fucking sense. It does make sense. That girl that threw them cheese balls at you and then whipped your ass in high school, you don't remember? She threw cheese balls at you, and then you wanted to be a big bad motherfucker. She went over and thumped on the side of that head. You don't remember that? It's probably from the blunt force trauma.
War via national mercies. That's 50 U.S. Code, Chapter 33, Section 1541, which specifically says when a president cannot enforce a law, he can, by national mercy, declare war. All right? That is exactly what Donald John Trump did. And here's how you know. There's two powers in the U.S., federal government, military. When the federal government is in a clear continuity government, which we are, then the military is in control via the military occupancy, via the law.
No, not at all. Continuity of government is so the same fucking people are in charge. It doesn't change who's in charge as far as like the government's not in charge, the Constitution's suspended, the military's in charge. Continuity in government is the exact opposite because we don't fall into turmoil, because we don't suspend our Constitution, because we don't just let the military take over. It goes from like president to vice president to CEO to CFO to whatever, right? It has a clear lineage that goes down through there, who's in charge, so we don't have to use the government.
War manual. And here's what clarifies that. All right, the Military Justice Act was the United States Supreme Court clarifying. They wrote this in 2016. It wasn't passed until the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act when they were under COG and still under COG because the operational dates of FCD1 and FCD2 are.
Well, if they were under COG and still under COG, then what they passed wouldn't matter because the Constitution was suspended. How do you think our laws work and are passed? Under the Constitution. The Constitution was suspended according to you.
2018 to 2022 and 2020 to 2024. So that tells you we're still under continuity of government. The most recent issue of the manual of the Federal Continuity of Government is April 2023, and it specifically says inside of it, inconsistency with Executive Order 13961, which is...
Yeah, you're thinking of continuity of classroom kids legend. Continuity of classroom kids. I think it was a bill introduced by Gil Fodlewski. Gil Fodlewski, the representative from Pennsylvania. It was continuity of classroom kids. A cock. He's saying COG.
Is Donald Trump's executive order for federal mission resilience strategy. They're all consistent with each other. Department of Homeland Security and FEMA. All right. So when you go look at the Military Justice Act, was written in 2016, passed in 2017. The SCOTUS, United States Supreme Court, clarified in the Military Justice Act, first piece of paper in history that backs our founders who founded the military first and founded military law first. SCOTUS clarifies in there. It was passed in 2017, and it tells you that military laws supersede all civil laws. It shows you.
It does. It says military law supersedes civil law. When you're a military member going through a court martial, what they had were people attempting to say, hey, I'm still a U.S. citizen. I should be able to decide whether I get a court martial or whether I go to a civilian trial for whatever crime I've committed. And the Supreme Court says, no, if you're in the military and you're going through a court martial or some type of legal action from JAG, then that supersedes all civilian laws. You may still have to face civilian laws if you murder or steal or whatever, but you're going to go through the military stuff first. That's the first thing.
President and Commander-in-Chief are two separate roles, two separate laws. And it also shows you that
never
Article
said
2
that.
of the Constitution, which is Commander-in-Chief, is separate from Article 3 of the Constitution.
It never said that Commander-in-Chief and President are two separate roles. You just made that shit up.
Which is the federal government. All right? January the 6th and January the 17th. You saw 30,000 plus National Guard rolling to D.C. The only person who could have given that command was Donald John Trump. 10 U.S. Code 12406. All right? Had nothing.
He didn't. The D.C. National Guard requested out-of-state fucking support, and it was state-activated guard. State-activated guard. It wasn't federal guard that showed up.
Nothing to do with the inauguration. Nothing to do with that. It wasn't an inauguration.
100% to do with the inauguration.
All right? So you can't pat me on the back or any service member out there, especially Army veterans. It's the United States Army who performs all presidential inaugurations. They're the
Oh, my God.
3rd Infantry Division, known as the Old Guard, the official presidential salute battery.
Yeah, that's for the salute and shit. Like, you fucking retard. We're talking about security. There's a bunch of National Guard soldiers up there.
All right? They use 4 cannons. It's also the Army.
They use as many fucking cannons as they want and have available to them. They could use 10 if they wanted to.
Performs all the military funeral services for the presidents, okay? Or just the funeral processions alone, all right? You can go look this up on usstate.mil. There's a long, URL there, but it's under a .mil site. Official military, okay? Go read that. It's the Army who performs all funeral services. They use 3 cannons. How come on January
Use as many cannons as they want.
20, 2021,
Use as many cannons as they want. It has to do with how many volleys are fired or how many shots are fired. A volley is multiple pieces firing at the same time. A 3-volley salute. Boom, boom, boom. It doesn't matter if there's 100 guns or 500 guns or 1,000,000 guns or 1 gun. Boom, boom, boom. That's a 3-volley salute. And then a 21-gun salute is 21 individual bangs firing one at a time.
Donald John Trump at Joint Base Andrews had 4 cannons, presidential inauguration service. And on January 20th, 2021, in front of the whole world, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. received 3 cannons, which is a full-grade military.
Doesn't matter how many cannons there are. As soon as you hear a 4th boom, which everybody's like, I didn't hear all 21 shots. Cool, I don't care. If you heard more than 3 bangs, more than 3 booms, then we're past funeral, you fucking retards.
Funeral service. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's Title 10. That's military laws. That's military customs. That's military regulations. All right? Donald John Trump is commander-in-chief the same way that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was commander-in-chief. Donald John Trump used the same laws and orders in March 2020. That was a direct military command. As long as he's doing the 3 S's of the military, showering, shaving, and the other word, he is in command of that. And the Military Justice Act clarifies that.
So he's showering, shaving, and shitting? So he's in charge of the military because he's going to shower, shave, and shit. Got it.
And the federal continuity directives outline all 3 branches of government are in a continuity government, which means there's only one power left, the military occupancy, which is found in the Law War Manual. You cannot have one without the other. And there's plenty of visual evidence. The National Guard have been out of their state jurisdictions every single day since those orders. You have to understand how the National Guard work. And it's very disappointing, once again, that we have so many veterans out there that don't even have a clue what's going on. But they will, and they will rise up, because if they care about their service and if they serve for the right reasons, they will go back and read the very law that they served under is totally separate from federal law.
No, not happening.
It's an atrocity that so many people don't know what's going on right now. And it's an atrocity when I go on TV shows and you have a host who, they want to talk laws and orders, but they don't want to go actually read them and study them and know them. They want to talk about the Constitution, but
They don't. You sneak your way in there saying that you're just a patriot country singer who's doing interviews. Your fucking agent doesn't tell them that you're a fucking nut job, and then when you get on there, they're like, "Oh shit, can we get this guy cut off here?"
they don't even know what the Constitution says. Donald John Trump is still your commander-in-chief by laws and orders, military laws first, which the Military Justice Act clarified. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. is a World War II repeat by what they call a Commonwealth Act number 671. All right. Roosevelt
Negative.
in the U.S.
Not
put a puppet in place to meet the media and the press for the Philippines, while the actual president was in what they call exile and full control of his military, and the U.S. and Roosevelt flew him back and forth. That's also under Gazette.gov. Everything I give people have receipts from .gov and .mil. All right. Laws and orders.
Yeah,
not
you're
conspiracy
just.
theories.
It doesn't matter if you go to .gov, .mil, .upyourass.info, .org. If you misinterpret it, you misinterpret it.
And there's a way to show people what you're visually watching if you'll open your minds up and actually go read. You don't have to like it. You ain't got to like Trump. You ain't got to like what I'm saying. But it don't matter. There's receipts. There's full visuals to show you everything I'm talking about is in complete control by the military. You have to have some initiative, and you have to want to go read and understand or watch videos that I provide that lay out all these receipts. It's a covert sting operation to dismantle the federal corporation. And this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and every soldier
He's on fucking puberty blockers, I believe.
who gave their life for this nation served under the same Title 10 that federalized the National Guard active duty, and that same order has been extended out to March 2024 in Executive Order 13912, which is 10 U.S. Code 1209. You can't have one without the other.
Can't have one without the other, but you literally can. You literally can. There's several different ways that National Guard can function. Fucking retard, dude. That's his 10-minute explanation. It was worse than I thought it was going to be. Crazy fucking comments. And those, and to those, and very different but equally dangerous. It's all there, but I can't make people read it. So Donald Trump says, Happy Memorial Day to all, but especially to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for the country they love, and to those in line of a very different but equally dangerous fire. stopping threats of the terrorists, misfits, and lunatic thugs who are working feverishly from within to overturn and destroy our once great country. This is disrespectful. This Donald Trump post is disrespectful as fuck to veterans on Memorial Day, by the way. He should have just said, Happy Memorial Day to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their country they love. But then he goes on and says, and to those in line of a very different but equally dangerous fire. Stopping threats of the terrorists, misfits, and lunatic thugs who are working feverishly from within to overturn and destroy our once great country, which has never been in greater peril than it is right now. We must stop the communist, Marxist, and fascist pigs at every turn and make America great again. The dudes, this is a slap in the face of the fucking military. The same way, like, you might not like John McCain, but you can't say it's okay for Trump to say, oh, I like my soldiers who don't get captured. I like winners, not losers. He got captured. What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus fucking Christ. This guy. Oh, so Derek Johnson doesn't put anything about Phil on his little Facebook page, which is strange. Not a thing's on there. Here's a link to all my current social media pages. There we go. Let's go through them. 17. The first one is his official gear merch shop. I thought he wasn't here for money, right? Then he's got the documents, donation links down below. Damn it, dude. We're not looking good so far. It's the first two. Official Twitter. There you go. It links back to the documents.info, which have his donation links. God damn it. Official Rumble. Official Truth Social, official Telegram, official 1776 Facebook page, 1776 Nation Facebook page. Donate. Official Derek Johnson Country Music page. Thought you weren't in it for those. I thought you weren't going to be listing those links. You weren't in it for that, right? You're in it for the right reasons. Like a good little soldier. Good little soldier boy. Fucking idiot. This is the same dude that calls out veterans and tells them they're disgraced their uniform, their flag, and their country because they don't believe the same thing he does. The crazy fucking meltdowns he gets into is wild. He's still rambling. Has lost another 29 followers since my previous message to you. Derek finally woke up. He's still fuming. I heard he stayed up till like 3 a.m. Guess who didn't sleep like a baby last night? He was still fuming about Phil at 2:45 a.m. And from what we can tell, he lost 300 plus followers since last night. Although that's not much in the grand scheme of things, it's very funny. It is very funny. Good job. Good job. Oh. Oh, I need to answer this. I didn't see this. Yeah, I'll send her a message later. Jesus Christ. These people are wild. Wild, I tell you. I think I sent myself something from... So they've been in a little lover spat. Oh, there's a new post. What is it? More people need to read and study about ham radios. Oh, okay. Well, that has nothing to do with it. He did post something else, but it's about fucking ham radio. Jaybird brought you 26 packs. Oh, thank you very much. Shut those fucking retards up. That's all right. Thank you very much for the donation and support. Oh, I see that, Truth or Roast. Thank you. That's kind of what I thought. Or I don't know. Whoever it was seemed to know way too much about the exposed group thing. For me personally, I think they were from that side for sure. Well, allegedly in early 2022, Will joined the exposed group. And it was just crazy. But yeah, it's somebody over there. Let's see what else we got here. All right, here we go. Pull that down. There we go. Yep. All right, let's do this. Let me see what I sent. I sent myself something earlier. Oh, it's a TikTok video. Okay, we'll try this. I'm not going to be on super long tonight. It's already 11:30. I just feel like shit. I'm sorry. I got a bunch of shit I got to do, but man, I feel like shit. Do you guys see what's happening on the screen already? I paused this at just the perfect time. There's a rollback sitting here that has just put down its bed, and somebody's going to Bo and Luke Duke it here. Look at this. Damn. Imagine looking down at your phone, texting, going out the interstate, cruise control set. Next thing you know, you're 40 feet in the fucking air.
At their 1050 rollover. 1,000-second EMF immediate roll.
So they were already on the side of a crash, right? That's why the roadblock's there. That's why all the cops are here on the left. That they were already on the side of a crash, and then this is what happened. Somebody come up doing a speed limit, either rubbernecking or on their phone or something, and jumped the fucking rollback.
At their 1050 rollover.
Yeah, I think tablet. I know that's true. Like you have to be licensed to use a ham radio. There's even some drone equipment that goes up to frequencies strong enough to be considered under the ham radio licensing thing. But I think what these retards, basically what Wrangle Star's been telling people, is you need to get one, know how to use it, and if shit hits the fan, fuck the government, basically. Because if there's like some type of end of the world, no government, martial law situation or whatever, they're saying the government's not going to come get you anyways. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Immediate roll.
Damn, that was a hell of a crash, dude.
Previous 1050, 84.
That is rough. I don't know. What do you guys got? You got any links for me? Got anything we want to go over? I know, man. The combination of the Benadryl and allergic reaction, all that shit's fucking killing me. Let's go home. Let's see. Oh, Scott Rogers did a couple more updates. I forgot about that.
Scared, okay? We're the police. I saw a little girl sitting on a bed. Looked like she just woke up. Sitting there, 10 fingers, 10 toes. My name's Rob, and this is Don. How old are you?
Probably 5 or something.
Finding that little girl alive.
Oh, that's awful. I don't know if I even watched that.
Rehab was supposed to be a
God is interrupting your scrolling right now, and I promise you, if you feel the need to scroll, just scroll. But I promise.
Hey, I hope
Too
you're
bad.
happy.
Buongiorno. I fed my Venus flytrap a fly, and the
Venus
leaf didn't
flytraps is
close.
cool as hell.
And the fly was sitting on the leaf for a while, and it was moving around, and it was on the trigger hairs. So it was really strange that the leaf didn't close. So when the fly flew away, what I did was I caught the fly again, and I fed it to another leaf that was on the same plant. And I was struggling a little bit because the fly actually escaped for the second time. So I had to catch it again.
Venus
and the
flytraps
third
are cool
time,
as hell.
when I
You need
fed it to
prednisone?
the
Yeah,
second
probably.
leaf, I held the fly into the leaf for a few seconds, and then it finally closed after the third attempt. And this is what happens
Was he
to the
knee
plant
driving?
and the
Probably.
fly
I mean,
once the plant.
he clearly wasn't the expert knee driver that I am. How do you catch? You guys can't catch a fly on Suko? I figured that was the first thing you learned in your samurai courses.
Finish the digestion. About a week after, the Venus flytrap did open its leaf again, and you can see that the fly is still intact. This is only the exoskeleton of the fly.
It dehydrates
The plant has
all day.
already sucked out all the nutrients from the fly. So to remove the fly from the trap, I try to use a syringe filled with distilled water and spray the trap. But because there wasn't a lot of pressure in the small syringe, the trap closed and the fly was still inside. After a few hours, the trap opened up again. I used a bigger syringe this time with more pressure, and
Ooh.
I was able to remove the fly properly from the trap. I also set it again, but it should open back up. I fed my Venus flytrap a fly in the...
Sweet. Let's see what Scotty's doing. What was that? The Power Ranger man Scotty 2. Is that his account? Yeah, he did an update on this today. No, was it on a different account? I saw an update he did. Oh my god. Oh my god. Scott Rogers. Scott Rogers. Scott Rogers. Oh no.
What's going on, everyone? This is Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Who replayed that? Who replayed that? We're not supposed to do that. Ah, you a pommy? Ooh, are you a pommy? A pomegranate? I watched, you guys ever seen Wolf Creek? The horror show Wolf Creek? White Tiger Ranger. Once a ranger, always a ranger. Oh, God. This guy's goofy. He likes some fucking deathmatch. I'm dreaming of a white ranger. Look at it. Oh, we definitely can't play that music, can we? Look at that. Oh, man. I saw some new content from him, but I guess maybe I made some of it up. I don't know. Maybe it's old videos I hadn't seen since. Yeah, inspired by two different killers. Well, there's two of them. There's Wolf Creek, the original. Then there's Wolf Creek 2. But there's a series as well that I happened to find online. So I've been watching the series lately. It's only 2 seasons. The first season was by far much better. But yeah, there was 2 seasons. The second season is a tour bus, and they all get abducted. The first season is an American family. And basically the only one who survives the initial attack is the girl, and then she's trying to track him down the whole time. What the fuck? Okay, let's watch one of these videos. It's been a while since we watched one of these.
And welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. Today's video, well, it's pretty obvious what the problem is. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, so one killer is this guy who only killed 2 people. And basically, he got a couple that he didn't know to pull over by telling them that their car muffler was throwing sparks out of it and there had to be something wrong. So he pulled the guy to the back of the car and had the girl get in the driver's seat and rev up the engine so he could show the guy what was happening at the back of the car. And he shot him using the cover of the revved up engine, and then ended up killing the girl. And used her for target practice or something crazy. Like she'd been shot like tons and tons and tons of time. Then there was another killer who it's loosely based on, who killed a bunch of people, including some tourists and stuff. But it really didn't have to do with like the broke down car motif. So he combined the 2 killers to make the Wolf Creek thing. I was reading about it when I first found the first movie. But I do think it's cool that he had him rev up the car to cover the noise of the gunshot. That's pretty cool.
We do not stud the tires of the cows in Wisconsin. She has stepped on a screw and it is embedded in the sole of her foot. The real question is how deep has it gone, and has it caused any?
Why wouldn't you take it out with a screwdriver? Ooh. That's what Dad's hoof looks like. I mean, foot looks like right now.
Players out. We can get some leverage.
Someone tell him tomorrow. Well, if that didn't break, that's not bad.
That's a pretty significant size screw head and about 3/4 of an inch.
There's the wound. I should have uploaded Dad's surgery I did. I should have went live and did it. Live foot surgery. I bet you the FCC would come and got me. I want to see how deep the wound goes. You got to basically go all the way down the bottom of it and clean it up, or else it'll never grow back right. It'll never reattach. Which is kind of like Dad's hoof as well. I'm just going to start calling it. Maybe that's why I watch all these videos. I'm training.
You'll be able to see the circle of where that screw went through the horn. That's going to become important later on in this trim.
You still see it's going through. It's not just a black spot.
How many of you are thinking forbidden Parmesan right now?
Forbidden Parmesan means pus. You know how sharp that freaking knife has to be to cut through that fucking hoof horn? It's got to be incredibly sharp and able to some type of metal that doesn't lose its edge very well or very quickly.
Remember when I said those circles in that shaved horn were going to become important later on in the trim? Well, that's now. You can see there's no more circle left, which means that this screw did not puncture all the way to the corner.
All right.
For this girl. Hello,
ricotta.
I detected a problem with this egg because it wasn't hatching on time. Other snakes in the clutch had already hatched. So I'm going to cut it open to see if the snake is all right. At this point in time, the snake should be fully developed. So cutting open the egg won't harm the snake. We may actually be able to save the snake if there's some sort of problem. So I don't harm the snake inside. I pinch the top of the egg. And then I slowly and carefully cut off the top of that pin. The inside of the egg is filled with a network of veins.
Isn't it weird that some snakes are born live birth and some snakes are born in eggs?
Which helps supply the snake with nutrients. So the red that you see is not an...
Not only is it a job that pays pretty well, apparently easy peasy, but hoof trimming, it's basically like where we don't let our cows naturally, if back in the day when cows naturally grazed and spent as much time as they want to outside, their hoofs would wear down automatically. But now that we got it kind of more industrialized, they're inside more, they're on softer things to prevent foot injuries, blah, 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 blah. They don't wear down as easily. So it pays pretty well. And then there's a guy on YouTube that's basically become a millionaire. He was always doing well because he's a huge hoof trimmer in Scotland. He's like one of the best ones in all of Scotland, but his YouTube videos went so viral, he's like a multi-millionaire now, even beyond what he was doing.
Injury to the snake. It's just those veins on the inside of the egg. When I opened the egg, the baby popped its head right out to see what was going on. It seemed active and alert, which is a great sign. The snake also had an egg, which is that tiny tooth in the middle of its upper lip. They use that little tooth to slice open the egg when they're ready to hatch. Occasionally, the snake doesn't develop an egg tooth, so it can't hatch out of the egg. But this one had one. To the left of the snake's head, you can see its yolk sac. It's not empty, so the snake is still absorbing some of those nutrients. So we'll put it back in the incubator, and when it's ready, it'll crawl out. I detected...
Damn, that was crazy. Oh, no. What are those babies doing locked outside the hotel room? How could you fucking do this? I've learned so much from it, easy peasy. I feel like I could do a decent hoof trimming. Like, I swear to God.
Woke up a female inside that was
yeah, Hoof GP is the big one. He's made a ton of money. I think he estimated one time he makes like 18 times more money on YouTube now than he does hoof trimming, and he was doing well with hoof trimming. Go ahead and tell her, Miss Press. It's from Australia.
I think it's gonna bubble because
it's a huntsman. By the way, I always use I haven't done it in a long time, but I love to use peroxide in my ear. Like, instead of using candling or a Q-tip or whatever, if you pour peroxide down in your ear, it'll boil out all the wax and whatever. Like, if you got like a buildup in your ears are bothering you, works really good.
No, it bubbles when you put it on earwax.
It does?
Yep.
It bubbles when you put it on earwax, but this is not earwax. What is that?
It came out. I told you.
What came out?
It's a fucking spider.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
it's a spider? Oh, my God.
Think of that next time. Think of that next time you have an earache.
That's fucking disgusting. Oh, my Jesus Christ. That's fucking disgusting.
If you think about it, though, I mean, it's warm, it's dark, it's a place they could hunt from. Like, It's not a bad place for spiders and bugs. That's what terrifies me. Those roaches.
I have a bucket of roaches. Upon dumping them into my ant farm, the ants immediately began to attack. Things were not looking good for the roaches, but that's when I realized an even bigger issue. After putting the lid back on, the ants had swarmed and taken over the entire outworld, making it impossible for me to open it. They needed even more space. So I'm taking this long cut of tubing here and using it, I can connect this new nest to their main. The ants began to scale the tubing and enter this new nest. Soon there were several workers checking out the new space, but instead of calling it home, they were looking for a way to escape.
You guys get horseflies and green. We get horseflies and they bite like a motherfucker. I've never seen a green ants. The horseflies are kind of green though.
For me, however, even after a few hours, my ants couldn't find a way to escape their new home. This was really good, as I thought I could finally take a break from this colony. But right before I went to go lay down, the ants reminded me that today was trash day, and now I had some more ant chores to attend to. So I got my vacuum and sucked up all of the garbage the ants had piled up for me. There was a lot, but after removing all of the trash, I realized I accidentally sucked up some live ants as well.
Oh my God.
Here I have a...
I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Mr. O'Neill,
all right.
Listen, stop. All right. Listen to me.
I'm not
going to raise your voice again.
I'm not going to raise my voice again. I'm not.
I will have you removed from this courtroom. I can sentence you without you being present.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't conduct yourself.
I understand, Your Honor.
Thank you.
But I will say, I'm sorry for your loss.
19 years I've been at this job. I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. You name it, I've seen it. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars, some DUI.
Yeah, there's one guy who took a thick-ass picture frame. It's like a glass picture frame and kind of sealed it up. And he's got a hornet's nest in his room. He keeps a hornet's nest in there. Like it's sealed up, kind of like you keep an ant farm.
My manslaughter cases, horrible things. This is the worst case
Oh my God. Did you hear about that poor kid down in Florida that had been dead for like a couple years? And they were just keeping a rotten corpse on a ventilator because they didn't want to call. They were afraid I think they were afraid they'd lose their check because she collected a check for full-time care of that baby that was disabled because it almost died 2 years but prior in a swimming pool accident, and they told her that it would never recover. Like it'd always be brain dead, and she refused to pull the plug, so they sent it home on a ventilator, and it died, and they just kept it on the ventilator. They didn't want to call in and tell it, but they said they were afraid to say because they'd take their other kids. These people are horrible. Down in Florida, man, it was bad, bad, bad.
ever seen as far as...
They're talking about how it didn't have... Oh, I'll just show you the video in a second.
Facts, yeah.
It's not a nasty video. It's just a description. The sheriff's doing a description. They quit. They had home health once a week, and they avoided home health for almost a year. They wouldn't answer the door, or they'd be gone, or whatever. They started avoiding home health, and I don't know if home health ever reported them or not.
When the person from fire department, when he testified, and when he said that he retrieved the body of Ronivia O'Neill from the home, and all he could do was sob. It took every ounce I had not to start sobbing too. Because there is no way any person with any feeling could have witnessed or seen the photos of what occurred that night and not be haunted for the rest of your life. I know I will be. For the rest of my life, I'll be haunted by what I saw as far as the evidence and just the abject cruelty of it all. The abject cruelty. And I was aware, because I reviewed a lot of the discovery ahead of time, as you well know, did a lot of in-camera inspection of a lot of documents. And I was aware there was some evidence, at least, that when you needed to recover from your gunshot wound, that neither your parents nor your Aisha, Miss Robinson, would let you come recover at their home. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to get into a dispute. I'm just mentioning there was some evidence referencing that in the records. And all I can think about, because I knew that Miss Barron was not with you romantically at the time. And I knew that she just out of the goodness of her heart let you come stay with her. And it is beyond tragic.
Worst
that
case of child
critical decision ended in so much horror for her and for her children. It is unspeakably cruel what happened as a result of that one decision. The way that Miss Barron died was horrific, and that 911 call, which captured truly all of it. You heard, and everyone who's heard that 911 call heard a death scream. If anybody ever wants to know what it sounds like before a human being dies, knowing that their death is imminent, that's exactly what it is. That was a death scream.
We're going to see if it's true.
But what happened to little Ronivia and to little Ronnie, but I'm going to focus on Ronivia because she was special. And you can tell Miss Barron had done everything she could to create a beautiful home for her family. I noticed that the Ronivia's bedroom, before you set it on fire, you could tell she tried so hard to make her feel like a princess. Kenyatta did everything she could. And I noticed too in the kitchen on the refrigerator, she put up magnets that said faith, love, family, hope. And then you know what else happened to that refrigerator during that night? It got splattered with blood all over it due to what happened. Little Ronivia, she couldn't scream, she couldn't run away, and she witnessed what you did to her mother as far as shooting her mother in the arm with the gunshot. She knew. And the horror that that child suffered. And she already had a life where she was born with challenges regarding her physical and her mental disabilities. But the pain and suffering that she suffered that night at your hands, unspeakable, absolutely unspeakable. And at the moment, that first time you struck her with that hatchet, and little Ronnie testified that all he could see was tears coming out of his sister's face. At that moment, that child knew.
All right, here, I'll read it. I'll read the case to you. At 11:43 p.m. EDT, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department received a 911 emergency call from an unknown woman, now believed to be Kenyatta. An unknown male voice can be heard screaming, Alua Akbar, which means God is the greatest. Then the female caller said, I'm so sorry, Ronnie, as she screamed loudly. A male caller could be heard in the background saying, she killed me. And don't come outside, call 911. According to the news release, the 911 call ended shortly thereafter. 8 minutes later, a second 911 call came in at 11:51 p.m., this time featuring a male caller claiming to have been attacked by white demons and accusing Kenyatta, addressed as Kiki in the call, of trying to kill him and that he just killed her. Ronnie gave their home address. Deputies arrived at the home at 11:49 to find a woman later identified as Kenyatta lying unconscious in the yard of the home at the mentioned address. Prior to killing her, Ronnie yelled, come in here, kill this bitch. Ronnie also beat his daughter, Ronieva, with a hatchet, killing her, and stabbed his son, Ronnie IV, leaving him critically wounded. Ronnie III then proceeded to set fire to their home. Ronnie IV escaped the home with stab wounds and burns and told a detective, my father shot my mother, before being promptly transported to hospital to treatment. Ronnie III resisted arrest until being tased by police. While inside the squad car, he called his murdered victim, Kenyatta, the devil, and said, the kids are the devil's kids. He was booked into Hillsborough County Jail next day. On March 22nd, 4 days later after the attack, Ronnie IV told detectives his account of the events on March 18th that left his mother and sister dead. The trial for Ronnie III began on June 16th, 2021. Ronnie III served as his own attorney in addition to his counsel cross-examination of surviving son, Ronnie IV, who testified as a witness for the prosecutor. Throughout this trial, Ronnie III claimed that his son had lied to investigators about the incident. Ronnie III asked him, "Did I hurt you the night of the incident?" And the boy replied, "Yes." Ronnie III then asked him, "How did I hurt you?" The boy replied, "You stabbed me." Initially, Ronnie III's attorney filed motions claiming that Ronnie III was acting in self-defense and requesting to defend Ronnie III on the basis of Florida's stand your ground law. However, the judge rejected this request, finding Ronnie III ineligible to stand your ground defense. On June 21st, 2021, Ronnie III was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, 1 count of arson, 1 count of resisting law enforcement. On July 23rd, 2021, he was given 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 90 years running consecutively. Reflecting on the case during sentencing, Judge Michelle Sisko described it as the worst case she's ever seen in her nearly 20-year judicial career and described Ronnie III's actions toward his daughter as abject cruelty. State Attorney Andrew Warren's response to the attacks was, "These murders are among the most cruel and vicious our community has ever seen." That's from the Wikipedia page about it. This is the one I wanted to show you guys.
Worst case of child neglect that Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says he has ever seen. Deputies say a child just under 3 years old was found on the brink of death at his home on May 12th. He was covered in infections and his organs were severely damaged, and sadly, he did not survive. Well, now his parents are behind bars facing serious charges, and Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is in the newsroom with the plea from Sheriff Judd. It's just even difficult
being released. Puts its Bartow apartment child. It all began horror that we have never here. The child's Bartow apartment was nothing short of shocking.
I have never seen the horror that we saw with this poor child.
It all began with a near drowning. 2 years ago, when the child was 10 months old, he fell into a pool and barely survived. His parents chose to keep him on a ventilator and stomach tube with health.
All right, so when he was small, he fell into a pool and barely survived, had to be on a ventilator and a stomach tube for the rest of his life. They basically said he's not going to have any quality of life and tried to get the parents to pull the plug, basically, and they said no.
Aides helping to care for the child, who was in a permanent coma.
The child had no brain activity, could not even blink his eyes, cannot move his extremities.
In October, Sheriff Judd says they switched healthcare companies and began to stall on the new one. They ceased answering their door. On Friday, May 12th, Takesha Williams called 911 and said a piece of equipment wasn't working properly.
They basically said that the pulse ox, the thing that records your pulse and your oxygen saturation, the little thing they put on the tip of your finger, or on babies, a little sticker. A lot of times they'll put it on their toe. It records like how much the oxygen saturation plus your pulse was messed up. And they said, no emergency. Don't come in a hurry. Just could we have like EMS or fire or someone come check it out because it's not reading right.
There appeared to be no life in the child. This child had an extremely extended stomach.
Distended, but yeah.
It was green. This child was rotting in the bed.
The child was rushed to the hospital but died. Sheriff Judd says the pair was afraid to call for help because she was worried DCF would take their other children away.
And this is only supposition on my part. They just got tired of the baby.
Oh, this isn't even, hold on.
The intensive.
What was the name of, hold on.
Deputies say a child just under 3 years old was found on the brink of death at his home on May 12th. He was covered in infections and his organs were severely damaged, and sadly, he did not survive. Well, now his parents
this cut out part of it.
Facing serious charges, and Fox 13's it's just even.
Yeah, no kidding. This child's name is Life. He was already. We do know that he had a short. This child's name is not being released, but we do know that he had a short.
I gotta get the parents' name so I can find the full video. Hold on.
He was already on a ventilator because of a previous incident, and as Sheriff Judd puts it, it seems his parents just got tired of taking care of him. We do want you to know some of the details in this story are graphic and may be difficult to hear. The child's Bartow apartment was
seen the horror that we saw with this.
Takesha Williams. Ephraim Allen. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I just want him doing the description. I want the news with it.
Hello,
I think
everyone. Thank you for being with
here we
me
go.
today. Halfway through this press conference, hands of their parents, beautiful baby boy.
Okay, here's the press conference.
10 months old. He suffered a near drowning experience at a short-term rental in the northeast area of the county. A near drowning. He toddled off into the pool. There was life-saving efforts to try to save this baby's life. When they got him to the hospital at the conclusion of all of their valiant efforts, the child had no brain activity.
This is the first
Could
incident.
not even blink his eyes.
They opted to keep him on a vent and stomach tube.
And quite frankly, it was recommended to the parents that he be removed from any life-saving measures because the child would forever
They refused.
be in a coma with no brain activity. They didn't want to do that. So ultimately, these parents were sent home with their infant on a ventilator, a permanent ventilator, with a stomach tube. And health care, home health care 3 times a week. Now that went on for over 2 years. As of last October, the parents began to reject the home health care. Despite the health care company's best efforts, they would not be home, would not answer the door. So the last time home health care dealt with this child was in October of last year. Understand, all of this was occurring at absolutely no cost to the parents. In fact, the mother was receiving benefits to stay home and take care of this baby.
So all the medical was at no cost. They could have had any medical they wanted at no cost, and she was being paid to stay at home and take care of the baby. That's why I think they didn't want the check to stop.
So let's fast forward to Friday, May the 12th. There's a 911 call to the city of Bartow, to the Azalea Apartments where they live, where the mother said, you know, the child's pulsometer is not working correctly. This is really not an emergency. You don't need red lights and sirens, but we'd like fire to come over and check the baby. So they responded to the house in a normal, routine fashion. And when they arrived, they saw this child hooked up to a ventilator. And this ventilator was working appropriately, but there appeared to be no life in the child. This child had an extremely extended stomach, and it was green. This child was rotting in the bed. They rushed this baby to the hospital, where for over an hour, or about an hour, between EMS, fire services, and medical personnel, they tried to save this baby's life. At the hospital, when they started taking off the diapers and the clothes, they noticed ulcers, large gaping wounds through the body down into the muscle. They noticed there was no rectum. There was just a big gaping hole where the intestines and the spinal column was visible.
Could you imagine how long a baby would have to lay there until it literally has no fucking rectum left and you can see the base of its spinal column and organs?
They notified the Bartow Police Department, who immediately said, hey, we need the sheriff's office to assist us. This is a very complex investigation. So our homicide team responded. We noticed immediately the child smelled of decomposition. We went back to the house where the child laid lifeless as it had for 2 years, and smelled decomposition in the room. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with me today.
Heartbreak.
The medical doctor at the emergency room said this child has not had the appropriate care for months. The medical examiner at the autopsy said the child had sepsis, bilateral pneumonia, stage 5 ulcers, obvious not child neglect. So we talked to the parents and we go, what is going on here? They said, well, they didn't want DCF to take their children, so they didn't call. But they had tried to get more home health care. So we introduced ourselves to the potential health care providers, and they said, we accepted them. We went there and wanted to see the child. They said, don't wake the child up today. This is just an introduction. And the next time they went, nobody answered the door. So obviously they were trying to create a facade or to say, well, we asked for help. They let this baby rot and die in its bed. I've done this for 5 decades. I have seen thousands of children abused, hundreds of children murdered at the hands of parents. I have never seen the horror that we saw with this poor child at the hands of these 2 folks. I talked to all the detectives in the room. Have you ever seen anything like this in your life? No one has. You can't even imagine how horrible.
Well, I think they said, he couldn't move any of his extremities, couldn't even blink his eyes. I don't think that he was there for most of this, but it's just sad to keep a corpse even like that in that situation.
The wounds.
I think it's so Sheriff Grady's like, they just got tired of him. I think they're just trying to protect that check. Well, if they find out that the baby's dead, then they'll stop sending the check, and I had to go back to work. And what if they raise hell about our other kids? And I think that was it.
The ulcers that this child endured at the hands of these folks. They're charged with aggravated manslaughter, among other charges, at this time. They're locked up in the county jail with a bond of $100,000. The state attorney's office.
All right, so there's that. And then this other one that came across, I'm sorry I'm showing you all this sad shit, but this is another one that came across my feed the other day. So basically, police started getting reports about this woman driving around with only one tire and a car that was beat up and the windshield was missing. And they had also had reports of the same style car stopping at a bunch of dumpsters, acting suspicious, then leaving. So police had been looking for this car for a few days, and this is when they finally pull it over.
There is no tire there. All right.
It's only left side audio if you have headphones in. There's blood all over the car.
A broken windshield, and I'm missing a tire because some kids were shooting at my car. I had some.
What looks like blood.
She says kids were shooting at her car. That's why she's missing a front left tire. There is no tire, just a rim. And her rear windshield's busted because kids were shooting at her car.
In there.
It's not blood. It's deer meat. I had a big bag. There's a farm around here that does deer.
It's not blood in the back. That's from deer meat. I had a bunch of deer meat. And there's a farm that gives you deer meat, and that's deer meat in the back. I had a bunch of deer meat in the back of the car.
Meat and hamburgers.
I'll tell you what she did in a minute.
Yeah. Holy. We got a body. All right, let's cover it.
Then they say we got a body when they said so. This little boy's name was Eli, I believe. And so what happened was, her and her husband had been in a bad. Her and her husband had been in a bad custody case. Multiple of her husband and her friends came forward and said that she was crazy, that she struggled with addiction, that she didn't need the kid, and she was still given custody of the kid. And almost immediately after she got custody of the kid, she cut off contact with the rest of the family, including the paternal father. Now, Police say that she had lost custody a couple times years before. That she had lost custody a couple times, and she was super worried about custody of her child, and basically it come to the decision that if she couldn't have him, nobody would. So what she did was they ended up finding a shotgun underneath us, like a sawed-off, like a little pistol grip shotgun underneath her, underneath the driver's seat or the passenger seat. She had strapped her son in his car seat in the back of the car and got out of the car and through the window and door had shot her son 9 times. 9 times. While he was strapped into the car seat, and then moved his body to the trunk and just continued to drive around. The reason she was going to dumpsters was she was trying to dispose of the body without anybody seeing her. And the reason she was missing a tire was because she'd even tried to go to like an off-road area that like you had to have 4-wheel drive and truck and shit to get to, and ended up popping a tire and it completely came off, and she just kept driving around. And the reason her windshield was busted was because some of the buckshot had ricocheted and hit her windshield. So she strapped him into a car seat where he couldn't do shit, and then shot him 9 times.
Imaginable. Eli murdered by his own mom.
Why would she kill Eli? If she didn't want him, she should have given him to...
This is part 2. Let's see if we can find part 1. I don't know why these things have been popping up my feed lately. They must be super popular over on TikTok, because I don't look up true crime stuff, or very rarely do I look up true crime stuff. Wonder if there's a part 1 for it. Let me see when this last one was. This one was posted on
Eli murdered by his own mom.
February 18th. Damn, that's a long time ago. I just had to click some of these to see how close we are to February 18th. Oh, we're not that far off. Hold on.
A Minnesota mother convicted of murdering her own son. Eli Hart was just 6 years old when police found his body in the trunk of his mother's car. It happened last year after a traffic stop in Orono. It didn't take long for the jury to make its decision. WCCO's Jonah Camplin was at the courthouse to hear it.
Hulissa Thaler will spend the rest of her life in prison. Justice for the 6-year-old boy she murdered, her own son, Eli Hart. The trial lasted only a few days as prosecutors relied on testimony from Orono police investigators. They described in detail the moments they first encountered Thaler as she drove a car with a busted window and blown-out tire. Detectives would later find bloodstains and a shotgun shell casing in the back seat. Hart's body was in the trunk. According to court documents, Thaler and Hart's father, Torrey Hart, were entrenched in a custody battle for Eli, who stayed with the foster family for nearly a year. Thaler was then awarded sole custody by Dakota County authorities 2 weeks before her arrest.
I feared if she got custody back that she would harm Eli, if not worse.
A Minnesota mother convicted of murdering her...
Imaginable. Eli murdered by his own mom.
Why would she kill Eli? If she didn't want him, she should have given him to Tori.
Nikita blames herself for what happened. Julissa Thaler shooting the child 9 times with a shotgun amid a contentious custody dispute with Eli's dad, Torrey Hart. Police making the horrific discovery after stopping Thaler in a heavily damaged vehicle with the back windshield blown out last May. Eli's body was there in the trunk, the murder weapon right alongside. Authorities would piece the case together following the evidence across multiple crime scenes near Lake Minnetonka, all the way to a first-degree murder conviction. The case file included these surveillance photos of Thaler and Eli leaving her apartment building together for the final time, body camera images of Thaler during the traffic stop, as well as her web searches to establish premeditation. Quote,
oh, that was another thing they found. Oh, shit.
Begin to...
A Minnesota...
Imaginable. Eli.
Let me see if I can pull that back up.
The case together for murder conviction. Her apartment building. Quote.
So here are some of the search terms: how to keep child from other parent with visitation, how to fake AM car insurance claim, car damage, how to fake car insurance claim, how much blood can a 6-year-old lose, does a doctor's note prevent child from visiting other parent, most powerful knockout drugs, how much whiskey to give a baby, payment from life insurance if child dies, most expensive life insurance for child, how much does life insurance pay for the dad, how to fake being home to the cops, how to keep child from school for a month, child life insurance policy, best whole life insurance policy for a child, qualifying accidental deaths, does insurance cover drowning, student loans for 6-year-olds, how to commit a crime and blame a child, how to sign up for credit card with child social security name, what weight am I allowed to, or what length am I allowed to saw off a shotgun? Those are all her search histories from the week before.
As well as her web searches to establish premeditation. Quote, how much blood can a 6-year-old lose? And while Judge Jay Kwam handed down the mandatory life sentence with no possibility of release, the now 29-year-old wanted to get the last word.
Yes, I would like to say something. Go ahead. I'm innocent. You all, you're garbage. That's all you're on.
Imaginable, Eli murdered by his own mom.
Last word was, I'm innocent, fuck you all, you're garbage.
3 dead, including...
So crazy, dude. So fucking crazy. Strapped him into the car seat and did it. The video that somebody wanted me to watch is right here. This comes from Fairfax County, Virginia. Looks like almost instantly we start with a police officer and someone fighting over a firearm in the car. Cars revving, horns. He's grabbing everything he can in there.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Cars in reverse. Worst cameraman in the world.
Oh my fucking God.
Damn! Damn!
Yo, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, what the fuck?
Oh, he just executed that nigga.
Oh my God, oh my God. Oh.
I don't know if I call that execution, but seems like they finally flipped him out and he was still fighting.
What the fuck? Oh my God, what the fuck?
Oh, he just executed that nigga.
Oh
yeah, he was still reaching and grabbing. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't have the body cam. I'm looking for it. Like, I don't know what to say. There's some things I can't show on here either. I have to pre-watch it. There it is. Let me see what's going on here. It's on the news, so hopefully they blurred it. Here's the news story about it. Hopefully they blurred it.
I'm Leslie Foster, and first up tonight, we're getting a better idea of what happened when Fairfax County police officers shot and killed a man. Our team spent the last 4 hours going frame by frame through brand new body camera video of those moments right before the shooting. This was a big story when it first broke almost 2 weeks ago. WUSA 9 showed you this exclusive surveillance video of the chaos. Police say the man who died was violently attacking an officer who tried to arrest him for driving a stolen U-Haul. Katie Lusso has some new reaction to the video you're about to see, and Katie is here to walk us through the footage. So let's see it.
Yeah, so let's get straight to it. Let's set the scene for you. This happened on May 11th, so exactly 2 weeks ago. An officer pulls up to talk to Brandon LeMagne. It's 4:05 p.m. What unfolds over the next 4 minutes? Chaos, panic, and ultimately gunfire. While tonight we do not have all the answers for you, we do have video from 5 different angles to show you. We do want to let you know some of the video is graphic and has been edited.
Okay, if you talk to me real quick.
We start with surveillance footage and body camera footage from the officer who initially approaches Brandon LeMagne after seeing him get out of a U-Haul that came back as stolen.
You're under arrest and you're just being detained.
Then the video shows
one
LeMagne
handcuff
grabbing
on
for the officer's gun. The time, 4:06.
So that's a Sherpa level 3 holster. So basically, it's almost impossible to fucking. There's like a little button you have to push. It locks in around the trigger guard, and it's almost, unless you got like you would have to come up basically like nut to butt to someone and be right behind them with the same arm and kind of roll your wrist at a real bad angle to get that draw. It's very hard to get unless it's you doing it and you're wearing the holster. It's very hard to get from almost any other position.
6 p.m. Body camera footage is now on for 2 of the responding officers. The 2 struggle. At 4:07 p.m., the officer is shoved into his cruiser.
In my opinion, his intent, rather, was to kill that police officer.
Chief Davis says LeMagne puts the cruiser in reverse and stomps.
He's screaming, "Get off my gun."
The cruiser slams into another car as seen in footage obtained by WUSA 9.
Jesus
Within
Christ.
45 seconds, the first shots are fired by Officer Christopher Grubb. This is Officer Kenyatta Momin runs towards the crashed cruiser. You can see the tires still spinning and hear the engine revving. We freeze the video here. The time 4:08 p.m. because of its graphic nature, but at this point, body camera footage shows Officer Momin, who had run up, pull LeMagne off of the other officer out of the cruiser and fire 3 shots. Chief Davis says they don't know yet which shots killed LeMagne.
I don't think that in 34 years of policing, I ever saw an officer pulled into his own patrol car.
Retired NYPD Chief of Department Kenneth Corey weighed in on the video just hours after its release. We asked him about those last 3 gunshots that were fired.
People are going to question that, question the necessity of those last 3 shots. And they may end up being completely justifiable. But on the surface, I think that there needs to be a little bit more transparency and some explanation.
Chief Davis says what unfolded is still under investigation.
I'm not super worried about it, to be honest with you.
He believes this was a justified shooting. He said this.
Actions of the 2 responding officers,
like that might suck for that guy, but fuck him. Like, he tried to kill that guy. He was 100% trying to kill that fucking cop. 100%. I've got the actual body cam. The part I'm worried about showing is, well, it's not graphic. All right. Let's see if we can do this.
So
in the car, what car?
It's wild.
SUV, in the SUV.
Like, I understand you shouldn't get a death sentence, carried out by a cop. They're not the judge. They're not the jury. They're not blah, blah, blah. You should, but if you're still fighting back, I've got no issues. If you're still fighting with them, I've got no issues with them protecting themselves. There's a tire still turning.
Watch crossfire.
It's what officials in Virginia are calling a once-in-a-generation happening when a police officer is attacked, abducted, and taken
I can't believe he's able to get his foot in there, hit the brake to get it in reverse, and the gas to go.
Hostage in his own squad car. All this leading up to a deadly officer-involved shooting.
Let's go for my gun! Let's go for my gun! Please just get back. Get off my gun!
I often say that these body-worn camera videos speak for themselves. I believe this is one of those instances attempted viciously.
There's a U-Haul.
Abducted. A Fairfax County Police Department officer responded to a gas station where the vehicle was parked.
Driving a U-Haul?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you talk to me real quick over here? Of course. All right, we're going to go right over here, man.
Is he gay?
Identified as 38-year-old Brandon LeMagne.
Driving a U-Haul?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you talk to me real quick over here? Of course. All right, we're going to go right over here, man.
What did I do?
LeMagne can be heard asking the officer what he did. As the officer explains, he's being detained.
Detained, okay? So this report.
It's just not usual that someone that has that type of, he doesn't have to be gay, but he sounds like, if you're going to stereotype like a gay person, that's what it sounds like. But it's not typical that one of the person that sounds like that, or maybe is of that sexual orientation, is like this violent, reactive.
Stolen.
Why? Since when?
You're not under arrest, you're just being detained, okay?
What's reported stolen?
Right. 221 Bravo, hold the channel, send me a unit to Sicko up here by North Walmart.
Just seconds after the officer approaches LeMagne,
he's literally trying to take his gun. He can't, but he's trying.
a fight breaks out. The officer calls out via his radio saying LeMagne is reaching for his gun.
He dropped a spare mag, it looks like.
Sir, you're good. Get off my gun. Signal one, signal one, signal one, go to my gun.
Our holsters that, and I have one on right now, that carry our firearm have a double retention feature. Yeah. I'm not going to describe that double retention feature because I don't want that to be public knowledge. But
anybody can look it up. It's a paddle. It's a button paddle, and you have to. So if it's single retention, you just have to hit the paddle. If it's double retention, you have to push down and hit the paddle, then pull back up.
Thankfully, we've had this double retention feature holster for several years because one free
his weapon
would have executed him. There's no doubt in my mind.
The struggle continues as the officer again asks LeMagne to get off his weapon.
What's reported stolen?
Now he's like, what's reported stolen? Get off the fucking weapon, bro.
Sir, get off my gun. Signal one! Signal one! Just start off! Signal one! Sir, you're not going to jail right now, right? Get off my gun.
Oh, wait. So he even tells him you're not going to jail right now, which is probably a lie, but damn. Like, you would tell him anything to keep from fucking him taking your gun from you, right? He says, nah, your gun is something.
Sir, you're not going to jail right now, right? Get off my gun.
Your gun's coming with me? Is that what he said?
Sir, you're not going to jail right now, right? Get off my gun.
Maybe he just says, no, your gun's coming.
Seconds later, LeMagne opens the officer's squad.
He 100% by himself. He's the one who opens the door and does everything else.
Both partially enter the vehicle.
Look. Get off my gun! Get off my gun!
As the struggle continues,
the guy's so calm. The suspect's so calm.
The vehicle is put into gear and begins moving.
Just go for my gun! Just go for my gun!
Please just get back.
Get off my gun!
The vehicle is thrown in reverse and crashes into a nearby McDonald's, hitting.
Oh, the cops are already on scene, running up when the car took off. You can see it right there. They were running towards it.
Meanwhile, other officers respond to the chaotic scene.
Just crashed into the Walmart.
McDonald's.
Richmond Highway, it's a gas station right next. They're coming or going in, dealing with a potentially real deadly threat. And that assault.
So he shouldn't let this guy get this position right here. And first of all, they're too close. And he's got a cuff on him. I understand he has to be cuffed to close to cuff him, but he needs to be beside him, right? He should be like this, and instead he's letting that guy get that position on him.
It went mobile.
That guy could have easily just taken him down right there and beat the fuck out of him on the ground.
That kidnapping, that abduction, that went mobile.
He's not paying attention because he's fucking with his radio.
A small amount of space. So in spite of those best efforts, there is some inevitable potential that other people could be harmed. And I put that squarely on the perpetrator. He chose iteration, and anytime we have a critical incident, they will to examine and will be part of our training curriculum going forward, either to enhance or to alter. But that's all part of our review.
Officials say 2 of the responding officers opened fire after the squad car crashed.
In the car!
Well, that's crazy that the responding officers are shooting. They're the ones shooting. That's crazy.
What car?
I had assumed that the cop in the car had finally gotten control of his own gun, and these 2 outsiders shooting. It's a wonder they didn't hit their own the cop.
The SUV! In the SUV! Get to your grounds!
Or maybe they didn't know the police officer's in there. Maybe they thought he got ran over or was still at the gas station or something. Because clearly the cop isn't driving like this.
Watch crossfire. Watch.
He screams, he's on top of me.
SUV. In the SUV. Get down on the ground. Get down on the ground. He's on top of me. Watch crossfire. Watch crossfire.
And you can also hear the engine revving, and you can hear the engine revving because our perpetrator is on that gas pedal. He's not done. So any notion that when that vehicle came to rest in the McDonald's parking lot, it was over, it wasn't over. It was still very much a very active scene. So the investigation will examine the actions of the police officers.
Yeah, watch crossfire is when you have a chance of shooting your own guy, right? So like you've got a cop moving up and someone's like flagging them, which means pointing the weapon at them, but there's a chance they'll shoot each other.
Ultimately, we'll share all of our findings in real time with the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, but a lot of those questions will be subject to the investigation.
Responding officers then escort the wounded officer from the squad working to treat his injuries.
Is he hit anywhere? Several shots fired. We got the guy. We're going to retest it.
I don't know.
We got an officer. We're checking him, see if he's been hit. Everybody expedite.
He doesn't know if he's been hit. They gotta get him open.
Pinned off. McDonald.
Where are you hit, bro? Do you have any I don't know.
He might not even be hit. It might be the suspect's blood, but it's hard to tell in that type of situation.
County police,
especially like if he fucking got hit hard in the crash or whatever and he's hurting, he has no idea.
Chief says the responding officers acted to
you just start stripping them and start cutting shit, looking for bullet wounds. We always did a pat check where you pat all the way around and slide your hands down, kind of like you're patting somebody down for a weapon. You can pat yourself too, except there's certain places you can't get, like on your back and whatever.
Save the life of the wounded officer,
especially in a vest.
In this particular case, this is a once in a generation happening to a police department, even a big police department like.
Worst case scenario is like they hit a femoral artery or something. He doesn't even realize he's bleeding completely out in a few minutes.
This doesn't happen but once a generation. For a police officer to be the subject of someone attacking him, trying to pull his own gun out of his. I believe the investigation's ongoing, but these. Who was screaming for help.
LeMagne was pronounced dead on the scene.
Rounds proved to be the perpetrator was struck several times. I don't know if we know right now. We may be screaming for help.
LeMagne was pronounced dead on the scene.
The perpetrator was struck several times. I don't know if we know right now. We may, as the investigation moves forward, which round or rounds proved to be the fatal rounds, and from which firearm they came from. Obviously, 2 uniformed Fairfax County police officers. Their firearms, so we may be at point.
This would be a crossfire situation. If they knew that he was in there with him, I don't think they would have taken these shots.
At a point in the future to know that it happened so quickly.
The problem with crossfire is, let's say, here we'll use this opportunity to draw, because everybody knows how much I love to draw useless fucking things. All right, so we got the car here. And then we got the criminal here, the perpetrator here, right? And then we got a good guy here, a cop here. And we have a cop kind of approaching from this area, right? And looking here. And then we got a cop that was approaching from this area and looking here. They're already in crossfire. There's no way that they couldn't have thought that cop was still in there. They had to have thought he got thrown from the vehicle or ran over or some shit, because I don't think they would have taken these shots. Now, both these cops are going to fire, but when this cop right here, this one down here, when he moves up, that's when he's saying, watch crossfire, because let's say this perpetrator pops his head up right quick, or pops up with a gun, or pops up and yells, ooga booga, or what the fuck ever, it doesn't matter. Then if this cop fires here, he's going to strike probably this one. And who knows, maybe even this one. So that's Crossfire. That's why he's screaming, watch Crossfire as he's moving up. He wants to get shot by his own guy if somebody pops up or a noise or something startles him.
You see the second officer, and the word I used at the scene was bravery or hero. I think I used the word hero. I mean, you see that second officer who is running literally. You know, you hear the phrase routinely about first responders, cops, firefighters running towards gunfire. He was running towards gunfire, literally. And you can see how he did that. So when he exposed himself and he didn't know, and I imagine as our investigation will continue to reveal, you know, to the extent that either officer or both officer even knew that our own police officer was still in the car, that's all part of our investigation. Did they think it was just the perpetrator? Did they think the officer was still in the car? That's something we're going to ask.
Yeah, I don't think they thought the officer's still in the car, because that's a dangerous fucking shot to take. Even if you hit the suspect, you fucking full through and throws, you know, and still hit your the other cop.
The investigation moves forward, but certainly this was a violent crime in progress, and the officers who responded did so quickly. Thank God that they were so close and they were able to respond so quickly. And thankfully, and you might pick up on this, our officer had his microphone attached to his upper vest, as opposed to when I came on, you had to pull your microphone out of your holster and put your thumb on it. So I think the fact that his microphone was so readily available on his outer vest carry, he was able to transmit that someone was taking his gun. And I think he said, at least to the perpetrator 6 times, get off my gun, get off my gun, get off my gun. And I believe he made at least 3 radio transmissions to the effect of, he has my gun, he has my gun, he has my gun. And by he has my gun, clearly, and again, facts, not opinion, the perpetrator has both hands and one hand on that gun most of the time. And thankfully the retention feature prevented that gun from coming out of the holster, and the officer, who's about a 3-year veteran, stayed on his feet. So I think that's consistent with his training. He made a radio transmission in real time under a great amount of stress, and other officers were able to get there and save his life.
That's wild.
From here, both a criminal and administrative investigation are underway into the officer-involved shooting. Reporting for Law and Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
All right, guys. Thank you for the donations. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Had a decent show. I don't feel great, but I still want to put on a show. I promise I'm trying to get back to the Patreon content. Don't forget, on the 8th, that's about, 8 days away, we have another fundraiser coming up. I think it's like on a Thursday or Wednesday. I usually like to try to schedule on Fridays, but they want to schedule on like weekdays, so I just let them schedule this one. So either way, we got a new fundraiser coming up. If you have any fundraiser ideas, go to the Discord, put them there, send them to me somehow for milestone ideas. Like at this level, I think somebody put in, we do a karaoke night. Or somebody else put in, if we reach so much, we spend a day reviewing old videos because they're pretty funny. Some of my older content, shit like that. So if you have an idea, let us know. But I'm going to hop off here, try to go home and get some rest, some more antibiotics, some more Benadryl. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. We'll see you about in the next one. Have a good night, guys. What you think about when you're born into a fire? I just feel drained. Let 'em burn it out. Plus, I've been exposed several thousand times since 3 days ago. Grifter. Never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. I probably shouldn't have said ooga booga. Now somebody's going to say I made it in a racial context. Support the stream while we're offline by going to coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund. I know a lot of you guys like to donate that way. That's great. Either way, I mean, I like to recognize people, but if you don't want to interrupt the show, that's cool too. That's all up to you. Thank you guys for being so supportive. It's made it a lot easier to grift off everybody since you guys do it on your own accord. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Captain Smartass. Appreciate it. Amazing. Oh, you're still gay? Amazing. How long you been into other men? Amazing. I didn't even know that. Amazing. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.